This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Welcome to the CIMA E3 Strategic Management Lectures. You'll discover that there is quite a lot of overlap between E3 and E2. Many of the concepts which you met in E2 you'll see again in E3, and we will be revising those. There are distinct areas of the syllabus, but even if an area seems to be repeating what was in E2, it has almost always extended a little bit to a higher level. As with E2, I think it's worth probably looking at some practical examples of the importance of strategic management. And here we have 4 companies or areas that are worthy of just a little bit of time. Just to see, usually the examples we have here is usually where things have gone wrong, but we can also maybe think what the companies need to do in the future to turn around or to perhaps rescue themselves. And first we have Volkswagen. And at the time of this recording, about 6 months before it, Volkswagen hit the headlines because it was discovered that the emissions data that it had supplied to many governments was non-representative of the actual emissions that their vehicles would make on the road. And that the, let's call it false data, or certainly very optimistic data, was released to make it look as though the Volkswagen cars performed very well or stayed within national regulations. Volkswagen had been a very prestigious company, a German car manufacturer, a very good reputation for quality and innovation. And within a series of weeks, really, that reputation was pretty well shredded. And Volkswagen sales have suffered very considerably. And Volkswagen is almost certainly going to have to pay huge amounts in regulatory fines and damages in countries where the damage was done. And one wonders, how did that happen? Was it perhaps an excessive concentration on short-term profits? We must get this car's emissions below a certain amount so it looks better compared to Renault and General Motors and so on. Was it a couple of rogue managers who wanted themselves to look good? Was it something systematic or systemic in the organization that made them essentially take unethical decisions? At any rate, it has been discovered, and Volkswagen will suffer very badly from it, and it will take it many years really to recover the original prestigious position which it had. Television companies are mentioned here because maybe until about 5 years ago, television companies would decide what entertainment to give you when they wanted to give it, and sprinkle it with adverts very often. Their particular threat is a technological threat from companies like Netflix, where many people find it better to, if there's a new series coming out, they would rather watch maybe 3 or 4 episodes one after the other, rather than have them ration 1 week at a time, really. And rather than watching conventional broadcast television, many people are turning to this kind of on-demand programming, which they find much more convenient. This is going to make the television companies think very carefully about their advertising model. Of course, companies like Netflix work on a subscription model rather than an advertising model. And if they suck revenue away from advertising, then the television companies may find it very difficult to reach again their very high levels of profits. Many, of course, are beginning streaming services. Nokia and Blackberry are rather sad tales, or certainly Nokia is, of 2 mobile phone companies. In around 2005, maybe to 2010 almost, Nokia had a huge market share, maybe 60% of market share of mobile phones. They were very good phones, but of course they weren't smartphones. And along came, first of all, Apple, and followed by companies like Samsung and HTC, who had smartphones and people could browse easily and so on, send emails easily from their phones. Nokia was stuck really with an old operating system, was a bit slow off the mark, and was really completely leapfrogged and overtaken by these other companies. Nokia was taken over by Microsoft, but even Microsoft has effectively discontinued the name of Nokia. BlackBerry may or may not survive. BlackBerry had a very strong position in corporate phones, particularly for emails, a little kind of keyboard there, with a very secure emailing system. But again, people much preferred phones like iPhones and similar ones, Samsung phones and so on. And BlackBerry may or may not kind of manage to pull itself round. It's still, at the time of this recording, a bit in the balance. So two companies overtaken maybe by technology, or two companies maybe too self-assured in their market-leading position, too laid back, too relaxed really, to see what the opposition was doing, and maybe too arrogant perhaps to ever believe that they would be overtaken. And then we have oil companies. Oil companies have suffered, again at the time of recording. Oil prices have dropped from about, I think it was about $120 a barrel down to around $50 per barrel. This has meant that many of the oil wells, particularly oil wells in offshore oil wells, so where the drilling at sea, quite expensive operations to bring on stream, have become unprofitable. The effects on oil companies probably twofold or threefold maybe. First of all, was a world recession. So manufacturing businesses, manufacturing less, require less power, less delivery vehicles and so on. Secondly, shale oil or shale gas, where fracking allows oil reserves to be and gas reserves to be released fairly cheaply from onshore deposits. And also oil companies are going to have to watch out for the increasing popularity amongst the driving public of hybrid cars or battery cars. And it only needs really a breakthrough in battery technology to bring the weight down and the power higher in the battery. And we may be seeing, the beginning of the end of the internal combustion engine, and therefore the requirement of oil will keep on falling. What should they be doing? Well, maybe they should be doing nothing. Maybe they should simply be saying, well, we've had our day. Many, of course, will be trying to diversify into solar power and doing their own research into battery power and so on. But the chances are that the fantastic profits that oil companies used to be able to make may be impossible for them to ever achieve again. It will take a considerable upswing in world economy, and it will require people to ignore new sources of energy for oil companies to make those profits again. So, wrong strategic decisions or just bad luck in life, really what we'll call environmental factors like new technology, can come and really overturn the most powerful companies which are around. And it is essential for all organizations to keep their eyes open, really, to look at what do we think is happening, where are we going to be 5-10 years' time, what's going to happen in this industry, what do we need to do to survive.